Hey everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Deborah. Welcome to another edition of Kdrama with Deborah, where I talk about my favorite dramas. And today we are going to be talking about Descendants of the Sun. And I know this review is coming really late. I know you all expected me to have posted it earlier, but okay, this is the first time. Like, you know how last week I got a whole bucket of ice cream to just take because I just couldn't handle the feels. This week, maybe I just got done watching episode 7. I just dropped my tablet by my side, carried my blanket, covered my head, shut my eyes, and went to sleep. I'm like, I'm not ready to think about this drama right now. I'm not even ready to process what I just saw right now. I just want to sleep it off and then wake up and rewatch it and then process everything that just happened. So without further ado, let's go. Follow me, high thought. Shotgun, 실력만으로 idol. 하는 놈, 암기 가서 나온 놈이 샵 두더지. 유엔 난 따라가지. Oh God. I'm like, hold on, where do I even start from? Okay, let's start from the side characters as usual, and then we go to the main character, and then we talk about the preview and the drama as a whole. Okay, let's start from Kim Ki-bom. So, oh my freaking goodness, I absolutely love Kim Ki-bom. Like, he's so cute. Like, he's that little brother of yours that you want to just watch out for and take care of. I think now I'm beginning to understand why So Young loves him so much and treats him like his child or like his younger brother. In the scene where Kim Ki-bom and Myung-ju were having the conversation of, well, Kim Ki-bom said, well, I'm gonna tell So Young I just saved somebody. And Myung-ju was like, hold up, I need to go first. Like, you need to have several seats. I'm the girlfriend. I need to go first. Then you can tell him after I finish bragging. That was just so funny how they were fighting over him. It's gonna be really interesting to see their dynamics in future when and if none of them dies and she marries So Young, and what your relationship is gonna be like. He's gonna be like their little son and she's always gonna be trying to fight for his attention, and Kim Ki-bom will always want his attention. That'd be, if they could make like a spin-off series of just the three of them, if they survive, it'd be really really nice to see. But I thought that scene was really cute. I love that scene. But where Kim Ki-bom found out about So Young's whole situation and how So Young might not have been saved, how he reacted, I was so touched. You could see how much he cared about So Young and he was really worried and he wanted to go save him. But we need to give it to Myung-ju to actually stand her ground and continue the operation and say, look here, do you want to kill this patient? I was so scared for her because I expected her to freak out and not be able to handle it and not think straight, but she was so freaking professional. Like, she was a soldier to the T. She just was like, look here, I have somebody dying here. If he has died, my going there and crying over him and being like, oh my goodness, my boo is dead, is not gonna bring him back to life. So why should I go and cry over spilled milk when there's someone here that I can save, and he probably has doctors around him that can save him if he's dying, if he's not already dead. So why should I be worried about that? And if he's dead, instead of wasting my time crying about that, I should be saving this life, which will be what he will want me to do, be saving a life. I can cry later, there's always time to cry, I can cry forever, but right now I need to save this life. My respect, if I didn't respect her before, my respect for her shot up at that particular scene, which now brings me to our side characters' love story, which introduces me to their love story. Oh my freaking goodness, was I the only one that was literally jumping out? I wanted to cry for joy when finally there was a step forward in one of the relationships. I'm like, thank you writers, if we're not going to get improvement in Yushiji's relationship, at least give me an improvement and a step forward in Myungju's relationship with So Young. And it gave me exactly just that. The scene where she went to meet him and said, look here, how did you feel when you felt I wasn't safe? And he said, I'd have regretted all those times I ignored you. And she said, and you're still standing there? Like, dude,
if you're gonna regret it if something happens to me, might as well just come hug me right now and let's start dating so we don't waste any time in case anything happens in future and you don't ever regret. And he just hugged her, and I'm like, finally I can leave. At least one couple is safe. If the other couple is not in their right senses, at least one of the couples is in their right senses and they know their life is too short. But I was so happy for So Young and Myung-ju when their relationship moved forward. Now, moving from that to the sister mans. I've told you guys how many times how I can't wait for when Myung-ju and Kang Mo-yeon finally get their relationship together, like when they finally become friends and they become the baddest team ever, and in-laws, possible in-laws if they all survive this whole mess. But I was so freaking happy when they had that conversation, the argument about the patient that they were treating in the midst of the war zone. But that was an interesting conversation because you'd expect Myung-ju to be the one who's used to treating people in such situations regardless of how dirty it is or how dusty it is. But it was actually Kang Mo-yeon that took the reins upon herself and said, look here, I don't care if there's dust around here, this patient is gonna die and we have to treat this patient, so we're gonna treat this patient here. Infection or no infection, let's try to at least make him survive. We can deal with infections later. It was kind of surprising that she was the one, because technically Myung-ju is the one that goes to the wars. She's the one in the military, so she's the one that should have seen all this and should know how to handle it and how to think. But it was actually Kang Mo-yeon that made her think, and Kang Mo-yeon that helped her move forward from that situation. So I'm really excited to see what happens with their relationship. I like their little bickering, but I can't wait for them to actually become friends and let's see some interaction between them like we see between So Young and Yoo Si-jin, which now brings me to the bromance. Bromance this week wasn't as much as we wanted, but I enjoyed the little tidbits of it that I saw, e.g. when the sexy girl from the bar or restaurant brought them food and Yoo Si-jin, as always, passed on the responsibility to So Young and said that So Young was the one that was going to pay for her 100 drinks, because after all, which this time he actually gave a valid reason. He has his pay cut, so why should he be the one paying for 100 drinks? You pay for it. But that scene was really funny. Like I said, I live for the little bromance moments. Even though there wasn't much of it this week, I appreciated the sister man's moments that we got, even though it wasn't really as great as the bromance, but at least it was a step in the right direction of them finally maturing and moving past their past, hopefully. So now coming to the whole annoying guy, before we go to our main leads and then we'll talk about the preview. Was I the only one that threw out this episode? Like when he was talking to Yoo Si-jin, before Yoo Si-jin said who was the in Yoo Si-jin's words, who's the bastard that let this guy in here take him, who is the bastard that let civilians in here take him out and all? Was I the only one that was literally just waiting for, and the scene where the stuff fell on Yoo Si-jin and he saved the guy, was I the only one that was waiting for Yoo Si-jin to punch him, or for one of the doctors to just inject him with some anesthesia or something so he goes to sleep and he just shuts up and we never see him? Because I had a feeling, and that feeling was confirmed in the preview, that the stupid guy will go and drive one of the machines and he'll be the cause of all the problems that's gonna happen to Yoo Si-jin. And it was exactly just that we saw in the preview, and I was so freaking mad. Even when Yoo Si-jin told them to take him away, he still somehow materialized in front of Yoo Si-jin again and started talking nonsense. If they had really kept an eye on him, then all this wouldn't have happened. He could have possibly killed Yoo Si-jin. Let's hope he doesn't kill Lee Chi-ho, which I have a case with and I'll come to when I talk about the preview. But yeah, that's just how I felt. If someone had punched him or injected him with some sleeping anesthesia or like giving him some drugs to just shut him up and called it vitamins, then we would not have the problem that we're about to have in the preview. But then if they had done that, then we wouldn't really have something to keep our hearts pumping and worried about what is possibly going to happen. So I understand that they just kind of had to make that happen. But goodness, he's so freaking annoying. Like, when Yushijin saved him, I thought at least the guy would change. Okay, maybe he has seen the light. But no, he is too thick-skulled. I can't wait for the bad guy to kill him, because I know the bad guy is gonna kill him. I pray the bad guy. Yes, I am mean, I am wicked. Say what you want to say. May the good Lord forgive me. But I want him to die. I'm like, you useless human being, just get out of this world and let us be. Okay, that's really evil. But I am so over that guy. He's so selfish, which kind of brings me to the next topic. I love how this drama showed us different sides of life, and they taught us so much lessons in just this one episode. E.g., it's so amazing, or not amazing, because it's not really amazing. It's sad, actually. It's really sad. So I don't mean amazing in like a good way, but amazing in a bad way. But it's so frustrating and sad how the selfless and the good people, the honest people, the nice people, the kind-hearted people in life, e.g. Manager Gu, that give themselves selflessly for others, are the ones who end up dying. But the selfish people, like the whole diamond guy, the annoying guy, the heartless guy that cares about nobody but himself, are the ones that keep on living in the world and keep on polluting the world. When we need more people like Manager Gu, we have to let the Manager Gus go, and we have to live with the selfish, annoying human beings like that human being that is still alive, and I have no idea why he is still alive. But it's just really, really sad. But it was really interesting how they showed that contrast, which brings me to the whole Manager Gu situation. I was so sad when he died. I know many people obviously cried. I didn't cry, but the part that nearly made me cry was when Yu Shijin stood in front of his dead corpse and he saluted him. That part was so heartbreaking. I'm like, this man did not deserve to die. Right till the last breath, all he cared about was other people. He wanted to save the other guy because the other guy was young. Manager Gu felt he had lived his life. He's already old. His wife is not alive. He has 3 grown children that are living well abroad. So this other young guy hasn't even really started his life. He's not married. He doesn't have kids. So why should he leave when the other guy, when he has lived his own life according to his thinking, while the other guy hasn't really lived his whole life? Why not just give the other guy the opportunity to live his life? Which was really sad, but yet a selfless act that it's hard to see people these days who can ever do that. Can you think of, just sit down and think of it for a second. If it was you, what would you do? Would you want to give your life for another person? Which brings me back to why I just love my Jesus, because he died for me selflessly. That scene was really sad when she had to make the decision, which I'll also come to, where Kang Moyeon had to make the decision on who she's gonna save and who she's not gonna save, and unfortunately Manager Gu had to go. That part was so sad. It was even much more sad because they gave us hope that he was going to survive throughout, because he lived. And shockingly, the guy too with this Pali, the cute guy with the accent, with the rod that went through his chest, actually survived. But they gave us so much hope with Manager Gu, only for him to die again. But he died a selfless, he died a real hero's death, like a real patriot's death, literally giving his life for others. And also that part was really sad. So now let's talk about the significance of the clock, and then we'll come to the shoe. So if you all noticed or you didn't notice, when that clock broke and that clock stopped working, their whole life literally came crashing down. It broke along with the clock. Their life went in like pieces, and everyone was at a standstill. No one could really move. No one was healing. Everything was literally a mess. But immediately, like, Daniel took that clock up and he repaired the clock and it started moving again. We knew it was symbolizing healing. That's one thing I love about this drama, how they take little objects and it just means something bigger, because we saw that immediately that clock started moving, the healing process began. People began to heal. The deaths reduced. The guy who had the metal through his chest went through his operation successfully. The other guy who had the operation in the open field did not die. We saw progress being made. People started smiling, people started joking, we started moving on. The new team had come to take over and let the old team go rest. Things started moving again in the drama, and we knew at least for this episode we won't see anything really sad again happen. So I really love that, which now brings us to the shoe, because immediately after she went to those two patients, next came the shoe, where she returned the shoe back to the guy who gave it to her, and she said, I wore it well. And man, did she wear it well, because she really served under her oath. She volunteered, she treated people to the best of her ability, she made the right choices, she was there, she gave it her all medically, like to the T. She lived the medicine code, or honor, or swearing, or whatever you want to call it, but she lived, Kang Mo-yeon lived it to a T. And she finally found herself again. She finally found the true Kang Mo-yeon, the Kang Mo-yeon of when she decided to be a doctor. The reason why she is a doctor, or why she should be a doctor, she finally found a reason to serve people and to serve selflessly. She saw people dying for others, e.g. Manager Gu, selflessly. She learned so much. The shoe took her to the right places and helped her learn the right things, and she has now understood all that she needs to understand in terms of life and ethics. And her being a doctor, she returned it back to the rightful owner for it to find the next person that it will help heal and help find its way, because it has helped her find her way. So I really loved the symbolism with the shoe again in this episode, which now brings us to the whole main couple. I absolutely love the scene where Yoo Si-jun was talking to Kang Mo-yeon, and he told her, well, it was a sad scene where he told her, you need to make a decision now. What are we gonna do? How are you gonna save them? etc and etc. And she's like, well, this is a really hard decision to make. I don't know, how do you expect me to choose? etc and etc. But I especially loved that scene, because if you remember, during the conversation that Yoo Si-jun had with Kang Mo-yeon, where he told her, where she told him she believes life is dignity. Where she said, I believe saving lives is dignity. I believe life is dignity. I need to save all the lives in the world. I need to save everyone, and nobody should die. But you kill people to save other people. Oh, shut up. You kill people to save other people, etc. So I especially loved this scene, because she now gets a taste of what he has to go through every day. He has to let go of one in order to save another. He has to let go of one to save 1 billion, or he has to go choose, okay, who do I save? Who is my best chance? Like, okay, I need to kill these bad people because I need to save these good people. And if these bad people leave, then this good, they will come back and do bad again and kill more good people. So she got a taste of that, a little taste of that, when she had to choose, okay, I need to let go of one, and one has to survive. So she now finally understood how hard it is, and that it's not easy for him to make that choice. And I love how when she told him, well, you've been through this so many times, you can make the best decision, he got like mad, like, dude, do you think we're making the best decision? Do you think like this is a game for us or something we find fun to do? This is not fun. We don't find this fun. I don't like making that choice either. So you make the choice. Do you think I want to make the choice? I make that choice every day. I am tired of making that choice. It's your turn. You make the choice. You're a doctor. Deal with it. Grow up. But I was so freaking happy when he talked to her. I'm like, yes, let her get a tip of what you go through every single day. Does she think it's easy to be a soldier, to kill another person just so another person lives? It's not easy to kill one person. It's not easy to know that you're in your hands, you hold the lives of the decision that can impact whether someone lives or dies. It's not an easy yoke or burden to carry. It's something that will always go with you forever. which makes me feel really mean for saying I'm so glad she experienced it. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm so glad she experienced it though. I'm just saying. So I was really glad that that scene happened because it gave her a better understanding of our main lead, Yushin, and hopefully we can see a movement and an advancement in their relationship. Which now brings us to the final scene where she was crying. Oh my goodness, that scene was so heartbreaking. I think of all the scenes, apart from the scene where he saluted Manijoku, which made me want to cry, this scene where she was thinking back to the past and everything that had happened with Manijoku being alive and all, and she was crying her heart out. I was crying along with her in my heart, and I felt for her because she never began for this, but she came and she has gained so much and still lost just from this whole situation or this whole journey and experience. And he came and he observed and he was just watching. I know many people must have wanted him to go hug her, but I like how he was just in the background watching because she hasn't really given him a yes, like okay, let's date. So him going to hug her, and she's really independent. She's not the kind of person that will want you to give her a hug. That's why we saw immediately after she finished, like she was crying 1 second and the next second she finds out he's injured and the tears are all gone. She's all back to being tough lady and she's like, come, let me treat you and all. From the distance he was giving her support, and I love how she went when he came and she suddenly stopped crying and she was treating him, and she goes, yeah, I'm okay and all, and he says, you knew what I was thinking? And she said, yeah, I could hear you pretty clearly. I know what you were thinking. I love how they just have this crazy chemistry where they don't need to say anything or crazy understanding, which only goes so far because you think if they understand each other so much they'd be dating by now and everything would be okay. But they have this crazy understanding of each other where sometimes they don't need to say words, they just know what the other person is feeling. Like that's just how intense their love is to an extent, even though it can be annoying sometimes because you're like, if y'all guys love each other so much, why aren't you guys together yet? Like, why y'all wasting my time? 2016. I like how when she told him you should be yourself, I just immediately like, you should be your usual self, the thing you know how to do best. I immediately knew she was talking about him joking. And when he then told her you're pretty, I'm like, dude, this isn't a joke. And then he's like, I'm just kidding. Like, oh my goodness, you do you know how much I even love you? That was so funny. I just love how forward he was with her at the ending about, look here, this is how I feel about you and I am being freaking serious. Like, you may have been thinking I have been joking because I like joking a lot, but I am being serious about my relationship with you. Which brings me to the preview. I expected the preview to happen in this episode 7 so we can move on from it in episode 8, but no, the writers were like, Deborah, we are not done pushing you through this whole feels and emotions and roller coaster, and there's more coming your way with episode 8, so just get ready for it. And am I the only one that has a feeling that the whole Yu Shijin get entrapped situation and losing consciousness is going to happen like at the end of the episode? I can literally see it happen because you know how in the preview we saw how him and Kang Mo-yeon went out on a date again and they were hanging out. But I have a feeling that Kang Mo-yeon is going to accept his feelings in episode 8. This is just me though, but I have a strong feeling. Either before, I feel it's gonna be before the whole him losing his consciousness situation, but I feel for dramatic effects they're probably gonna make it after the whole losing his consciousness situation, so she regrets it and she's scared for her life. But I don't see that happening that way either. I can also see them doing it that she accepts his feelings, because you know how in the preview she was asking him, yeah, so you're always risking your life, and he said, well, yeah, my life is such as my job is such that calls for me to like risk my life and all that, but it's also such that calls for me not dying. Like, my job is a job that I can't afford to die. It's kind of like how he told the guys when he came down from the helicopter. He told the whole military men, you can't afford to get hurt, because if you get hurt, then who's gonna save the people that are underneath the building that need to be saved? Who's gonna be there for them? Who's gonna help them? And also, I can't afford to die because I have people to save. So my job doesn't give me the right to die. Like, I can't die, I have to leave. And well, I feel because of that, she's gonna give him a chance and say, okay, let's date. And then she's gonna receive this whole scare of him dying, trying to save those people, and she's gonna be like, well, you see, I tried dating you, but you almost died, and I didn't want to lose you, and so maybe we should take another break again till something else happens, which is just gonna be so freaking annoying. So let's hope is option 1 and not option 2, because I'm not liking option 2. Let's hope is option 1, whereby she rejects him again, and they go on the whole date, and they flirt like they always do, and they make our hearts go crazy with how they're flirting and his gazes and him just being handsome him. And then she goes and he almost dies because he loses his consciousness. She rejects him and he loses his consciousness, and then she realizes, oh my goodness, why have I been rejecting him all this while? Why was I thinking of the what ifs when it hasn't even happened? Why didn't I just think of the future and not regret it? Now I am regretting. I never had the chance to possibly have what could have been the greatest love story ever with this guy, and I was just being a coward. Well, not really a coward, but a coward too. She was also being just sensible and thinking for herself and trying to protect her heart. But why didn't I just take the risk instead of thinking what if, and possibly lose what could be the greatest love in my life that will ever come my way? Why? And then at the end of the day, she would be like, when he comes back to life and he wakes up from his unconsciousness, she's like, let's date, and finally we can move on from that problem. So I just have a feeling it's gonna happen in episode 8. Whatever happens, either way, it's episode 8 that is going to be the breakthrough where she accepts him. I just feel it's going to happen in episode 8, which brings me now to the Lee Chi-hoon situation. I have a feeling, and I'm praying this feeling is not true, that Lee Chi-hoon is the reason why Yoo Shi-jin is in the mess season. Now let me explain. You know how in the previous review I stated how it's gonna be because of Lee Chi-hoon, Yoo Shi-jin goes to save Lee Chi-hoon, and whoever Lee Chi-hoon's trying to save, and the whole mess happens. He's gonna dislike him because he's going to put Yoo Shi-jin in danger. We all know Yoo Shi-jin ain't gonna die because it's just episode 8. Just putting him in that situation on its own is annoying me right now so much. So if there's one thing I absolutely loved about this episode, is that they backed off on the romance. They didn't, like, the romance was still there, but if you actually do think about it, like I'm thinking about it right now, we didn't really see much of the main leads together. It was much more focused on the disaster and the loss, the courage, the emotions, the fear, the tears, the happiness, the joy, every other thing that was going on in that situation. Everything else apart from focusing on the romance, and that's what I absolutely loved about this episode. We learned about selfishness and selflessness, like the whole life lessons and the improvement in characters, which I am sure in episode 8 it will be more geared towards the the romance between the leads and what can possibly happen. How, like, you never know tomorrow, you can die tomorrow, you really never know, so don't waste even a second of your life. But this was a really sad roller coaster episode that was filled with, like, I think it was really just the last, like, I was happy during certain moments, e.g. when Kang where Myungju and So De Young finally hugged and all, and the relationship finally moved forward. I was happy in that scene and all, but the scene that actually got me laughing in this episode was the ending, how they treated that annoying guy, and how the nurse treated Haja treated the annoying guy. But the scene that actually really got me cracking up was the scene where he joked to Kang Mo-yeon about her being pretty and not actually being pretty. That was the scene that actually got me laughing. But I love how this episode was mainly focused on the other side of things and not just the happy because life isn't always happy. There are other things that happen at the other side of life, especially in disaster and war zones and all. So I like how they really focused on that aspect in this episode. But yeah, let me know what you all think about this in the comments down below. Don't forget to give this video a like, don't forget to share, subscribe, and keep being the awesome beautiful people you are. From me to you all, you know, because nothing but love for you all. Stay awesome. 어느 날 꿈처럼 그대 다가와 내 맘을 흔들죠.